It's another episode of Is This a Pickleball Podcast? I'm your host, Matthew K. Pickleball, and G-Man, the number one man, is back. Mr. Wilson, how was your little vacation from the podcast? I heard you went to the zoo. What's going on?
Hey, yeah. I had a 2 weeks off. Thank you for approving my vacation time. I actually went to Mammoth the previous week for a weekend, and then today I rushed back though. I rushed back from the San Diego Zoo just to try to catch this get this podcast out. But it looks like you found a pretty good substitute for the week
Oh,
I was gone. That was pretty good.
yeah, I was scraping the bottom of the barrel to find someone to fill those big shoes of yours. But yes, we'll talk about that in a second. But Mr. Chris Olson from that other channel, that other podcast, Pickleball Studio, he swung by and we had a great little chat. And I wanted to highlight a few things. But before we move on, before we get too deep into the pickleball verse on this pod, I just wanted to do a little quick reminder. Since we last chatted, Wilson, I can't remember if we talked about this the last time, but since I last talked to you, the channel I have given away a Honolulu J4K, the classic pizza peel paddle, one of Honolulu's notch foam paddles, a Dinkaroo, that little mini training net we both like, as well as a PaddleTech GTOC. All of those paddles and then that practice net were all free for those lucky
Nice.
winners. So, Matthew K. Pickleball, we are the Santa Claus of the pickleball reviewers, always giving things away. So,
Congratulations to all
to
the
all the
winners.
winners, yeah. To all the winners, congratulations. If you haven't gotten your paddles, hopefully it will be soon so you can get them to the courts. But if you haven't won something, there are some opportunities still. I'm giving away a carbon Genesis, no, a carbon TruFoam Genesis, no, carbon, yeah, carbon. How do you say it? I know it's the four.
Carbon True Foam Genesis 4.
All right, folks, you heard it. The man said it. That's why he's here. We're giving one of those away on the channel, that new hybrid shape of theirs, as well as a Thrive Fury. And that Thrive Fury video, that giveaway, has a few extra giveaways, since I'm sure Wilson knows this since he watches the reviews as they drop. But Flickweight is giving away some Flick weights to that raffle winner, as well as a secret product of theirs that I don't even have the details on.
You still
So
don't know yet,
definitely,
huh?
I still don't know. Hopefully he's. I don't know. He told me he's working on some patents. I don't know if it was for that product, but I guess he didn't want me to leak it. But hey, if the winner gets it, let me know. DM me what the heck it is. I'm dying of curiosity. But check those videos out, and then shortly after this podcast goes live, if all things go well, I am getting a little busier at work, and I'm having to put in some OT on that front, so I might get behind. But I think my Honolulu NF shape breakdown video will be coming out a couple days after this podcast goes live. I'm done with the script. I just need to record it and edit it and do all of that. But I'm confident it will be up. And that's a pretty interesting video. I have some thoughts on those paddles. So definitely keep your eyes peeled. And yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe button because you won't want to miss that stuff, including the giveaways. But, Mr. Wilson, did you watch the little chat with Chris Olson from Pickleball Studio? Did you get a chance to check it out?
I definitely did. It was an awesome, very informative podcast.
All right, everybody. I paid Wilson in paddles to say that. But yeah,
I
I
do
thought,
like the biggest the one of the comments where is like for once Matt is the one not speaking.
yeah, yeah,
Something like that, right?
yep, yeah. Someone said, for once, Matthew let someone talk. But he did have like a little jokey face emoji, or so maybe I think he's being nice. I think it was fine. But yeah, it was cool. I thought Chris I've met him in person, as you know, at the Nerdy Tourney, and he was super kind and generous in real life, and he definitely brought that to the podcast and our conversation. And it did make me realize, though, like my background game, I might need to up that game. I don't know. It's tough. Like, I share this room. It's a mess. But but his background. Oh, it looked nice. It looked nice editing that. But anyway, but yeah, I thought I'd highlight a few things for the folks that maybe didn't get a chance to watch it. Basically, the whole point of that conversation was every once in a while someone will DM me like, how do I become a paddle reviewer? What do I do? What advice do you have? And I said this to Chris, and I'll just say it here in case that person is watching now. The only advice I really have is write down on a piece of paper why the heck you want to review paddles or work in like YouTubing, and then pin that somewhere and look at it occasionally, because once you get into the thick of things, it's hard to remember why you started. That's my only advice, and that's really not the best advice, to be honest. So I thought I would talk to the king of paddle reviews, the king of pickleball YouTubing, of the influence game, and just get all of his advice, and then start pointing people to that video and hopefully improve my own channel. But basically the conversation boiled YouTubing or paddle reviewing into two buckets: the hobbyist and the professional or the aspiring professional. And if you're doing the latter, if you're trying to make this your job, your income, you've just got to put in the work. There are no shortcuts. And Chris admits like that he was definitely there at the beginning, and so was definitely opportunity with that. But there's opportunity now because we do have Chris's model. But one other thing he said, though, on that, Mr. Wilson, this I found interesting. He said, do it your own way, though. Add your own spin, make it your own flavor. Don't just straight up rip someone else off and make your channel a carbon copy, because he said, why would you watch the other guy when you got the original? Fortunately, none of the big guys can claim I'm ripping them off. So my videos are wholly Matthew K. Pickleball original, because as I told Chris, like, I'm trying to keep the filmmaking part simple and just make it about the thoughts on the paddles. But I'm trying to up my game, up the production value bit by bit. And then one other thing, like, it might seem obvious, but I think it's worth, reiterating. If you're going to do this, if you're going to be a podcast co-host like Mr. Wilson, or a podcast host or a paddle reviewer, you got to love it. You just have to love it. Wilson, do you love your job?
I do. Yeah, your heart needs to be in it, in everything you do, or else it'll show. And I can definitely see that you're really, passionate about pickleball, and it really shows in your reviews and in our podcasts.
Well,
It's
Wilson,
awesome. Yeah.
I can see that you take joy in being kind to others, and I am typically the other in these dialogues, and so I definitely appreciate that. Folks, if you don't know this, if I haven't said this before, the reason I initially drafted Wilson to be my podcast co-host is because I've played with him at Rec Play. We actually didn't know each other that well, but he is a magnet of positive energy. And then it pulsates out from him. I would see him at Open Play. Everyone out here in LA knows him, and I just know I'm a sensitive guy. I just needed someone nice to talk to, and Wilson is that. And he is not even a professional therapist. He's just this guy. So anyway, I'm very lucky to have you on this team, so I appreciate it. And then one thing that I found super interesting, and Wilson, I actually outlined a whole podcast before, like when you were driving back from the zoo, on this topic. But then I realized, oh, this week is when all the paddles are dropping. So I had to backtrack and change it up. But Chris pointed out, like, while pickleball, the boom might be plateauing a bit, the growth in Asia is huge. And
Mhm.
so pickleball is still on, maybe it's not a rocket ship to Mars, but it's certainly to the moon at this point. I don't know if that analogy works too much, but it's still booming. And then he sees, though, the big prediction he made was there's going to be a lot of consolidation within paddle companies within the next 5 years was his call. So we're gonna circle back in 5 years, Wilson, and see if Chris was right. But there's also a lot of funny moments in that conversation, so definitely check it out. Hopefully, there's a link right there. And so yeah. But Wilson, you're back. You're back in the hot seat. And I thought I'd kick this off. I think you might have had one question you wanted to talk about, but I can't remember. But I had a question because it's going to segue into my next segment. But what do you think about heckling? What do you think about chirping? And maybe like walk me through it because it's one thing to do it in rec play, and then there's another in tournament play. And you've told me a little bit about tournament play, some stuff you've experienced. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on this?
Um, what do you mean heckling? Like from the
All
sidelines,
right.
could you
Yeah,
clarify
that,
a little
but
more?
all right, folks. See, my co-host keeps me on my toes. He's not just a yes man. He's like, your question sucked, Matthew. Make it better. But all right, the reason I ask is I was able to sneak away today. I went over to my old stomping ground out in Pasadena and got a few games of rec play in over at Open Play. And I actually had a chance. I played with a guy that works over at Gherkin, still hounding him to get us one of those paddles, but he says he's not in control of that. But guys, come on. Wilson and I, we want to try that new stuff. But then I played with another guy, and it's kind of interesting because he knows about YouTubing and the power reviewers, and I think he's trying to break into the influence game. But he was a really nice guy. But then out on the court, oh, and something funny, he was actually playing with one of the conic paddles
Hmm.
for the game. That brand that
Yeah, the
you've already
local.
tested the
Yeah.
paddles, and
Hmm.
yeah. And so he was actually playing with one of those. So I was like, because that's a smaller brand. I wanted to, hey, where'd you get that paddle and all that? But he's super funny. And he was playing really, really well with that paddle, to be honest. But then he was cracking jokes the whole time during rec play, not taking it like playing well, but cracking jokes to the point where I was like smiling, like I'm getting ready to, like not a mean way, just like keeping things fun. Like he was a funny guy. And then I remember I was like doing a serve. I'm like, dude, you're really getting in my head a little bit because it was like fun heckling. But basically, like he started roasting me. He like pointed out, dude, you're wearing the carbon hat, the body helix shirt, the course shorts, and then the head pickleball shoes. What the heck? You're like a clown with all the different brands mixed. All right, he didn't say clown, but he was making fun of my Frankenstein wardrobe. But yeah, super funny though. Like this was all in a joking manner, and then lo and behold, he tells me I think he's trying to break into the influence game, and his handle shout out at heckleball.pb over on
Cool.
Instagram. He's trying to grow his channel, and I guess his thing is being funny on the courts and heckling, but in a fun way over at Open Play. But that got me thinking. That got me thinking. Like, Open Play is one thing, especially when you got a funny heckler like that you're playing with. You're just testing paddles. But then I remembered some stories you told me about some folks at a tournament off on the sidelines doing some heckles. Maybe you've experienced chirping while in a competitive space. But what do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you have a hot take on sort of like verbal interference with one's pickleball game? Like I don't know. What do you think?
Um, in your situation, in rec play, I think it's fine, especially if it's like a positive vibes, positive energy.
Sure.
It's I think it's okay, especially in rec play. But in tournament play,
I I think yeah, even in rec play, I think it's got to be done a certain way. Like no, if you
mm,
don't like, you got to read signals. If you're like, because not everyone's heckle.pb cracking good jokes and making a good time. There are some people that are like think they're funny or get frustrated, and so at rec play, you got to know your audience and feel it
yeah,
out. But tournaments, are there hard and fast rules for you?
me, I always like to live by the idea that I would treat others the way I like to be treated. So I would be polite whenever I can. I don't really make comments or heckle in tournaments. However, I've had people on the sidelines who have, uh, I guess it's not really heckling, but it's like they've gotten kind of annoying and in a way into my head because they were definitely rooting for the other team, and they would, of course, what they're doing really would get in my head, and I guess that's the goal, right? And it does really put me on tilt. However, even though it's against me, I think it's fair game. I mean, it's a tournament. I've had people on the other side of the court who would uh mock my, like, let's say win a point and then I give a good, fist pump or shout, and I've had people who have mocked my 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 cheer, yeah,
Your celebration.
my celebration. The point after, because I lost, and they'll be go or whatever,
Is this someone you're
and
playing with or another audience
yeah,
member?
no, no, no. This would be my opponent, and I it gets in my head, but in a tournament, and when you do play tournament and when you practice, you should be able to play through that.
Okay.
So basically, going back to your question, about heckling, uh, it's fair game to me. It's fair game in a tournament, as long as you don't go hooking people. All right, but that's a whole different story. But in rec play, read the room. If people are enjoying the positive heckling, go for it. If no one else is laughing on the court, cut it out.
All
So
right.
yeah,
All
yeah. So
right.
it depends on the situation, but yeah, yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, uh, all right. Well, I'll get you ready for tournaments. I'll start heckling you and chirping at
You
you every
already
time we play.
do.
Oh, come on. But in a nice way.
I
All
know,
right.
I know.
I think I see a smile every once in a while. All right, guys. I do. I kind of. I don't have volume in my play footage for a reason. I find myself cursing far too much. And then I do roast when I'm playing with friends.
Yeah,
Friends, I do get a little bit roasty sometimes.
that's
But
okay. I like it. I enjoy it. We all do.
Wilson,
Every time we play with you, it's always fun in games. It's not
right?
a problem.
Because Matthew K. Pickleball is a joke, and so we just are fooling around. But all right, we're not fooling anymore. Not with this next segment because I got some big news. So big, I need to take a sip of water. Wilson, do you know what the big news is?
What's the big news?
6-0 is back. They have
Mm.
been quiet for a beat, Have you heard much about 6-0?
No, no,
No.
not since the Ruby.
All right. That's since bro, there have been multiple releases since the
Has
Ruby.
there?
Uh, we got
Exactly.
the
There you go.
quartz and then the double black diamond elongated, which is a very, very fun paddle. So I got a review of that one. Have you hit with it?
Not the quartz.
No, no, no. The DBDE.
Oh, the elongated. No, I
Yeah.
can't say I have. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was reading your face. All right, but that's not the news. That's not the news. Wilson, go check out my double black diamond elongated review. I'll send you the link after we
I'll do it
record.
right after
But
this.
yeah, it is a fun battle. But they have been quiet for a beat. everyone was dropping Gen 3 paddles, and they're like, no. And what I always heard through the grapevine was they just didn't like the durability issues that all the Gen 3 paddles were seemingly having. And so they've really spent this time. I actually got on, pickleball, we're talking about if it's a hobby or a career. It's starting to feel like a career with the number of Zooms I'm hopping onto. But I got onto a Zoom. They did 6-0, did a little bit of a presentation and walked us through kind of their roadmap for the future. It was actually done by Dale, the owner of 6-0. But he's in China right now dealing with factory stuff. And it seemed like he was swamped. But he made some time and we got some valuable information. But so yeah, this whole time they've actually been retooling their factory, revamping their process of making paddles. Supposedly, according to them, they've gone through 500 plus prototypes. And yeah, they've kind of settled. I think once again, they're trying to bring their factory up to production speed on what they want to do output wise. But it seems there's going to be 5, maybe more models coming out over like the next half year or so. And I have some details on a few of them. We've got the first line we're going to talk about is the Black Opal. Then we're going to chat a little bit about the Ruby Pro and the Coral. And the Black Opal is the one that's going to be the first of this new wave of 6-0 paddles. And its launch is scheduled for October 19th, but that might be a moving target. And so I'm going to just share. I think I'm able to share everything I'm about to share. It was a long presentation with a lot of info. And I jotted some notes down for all the paddle nerds that might interest folks. And I think I can share all of this as long as I don't show a diagram of the internals. I believe I understand everything right because I really don't want to get in trouble with anybody. But
if the video cuts here and jumps somewhere else, you know that Matt probably said something that he wasn't supposed to. All right,
yes,
everyone.
yes. So the Black Opal is coming. It's going to be in 3 shapes, but 1 to start with. And that paddle is going to be 14 millimeters, target twist weight of 6.5, target swing weight of 114, and static 8 to 8.3 ounces. And so what makes this really different from all these new gen, this is like their next gym, GEM, like because of the rocks and all that. Next gym paddle is it's utilizing solid, rigid, high-density foams. And so they explain that they're largely non-compressible compared to like the other foams being used in all the foam paddles. And they are claiming that those kinds of foams used in their competitions paddles will have a shorter life cycle than what they're utilizing. And then if I understood everything right, this paddle is going to have what they're calling a carbon light frame, but a monocoque design, like we've talked about on the pod before, if I understand everything correctly, which, to be honest, I love that idea. It allows for really nice handles. We've seen that in the Ohm paddle. I think we have a whole podcast on some monocoque designs. I'll try to link it here. I think it was like rivals to the new Adidas Metal Bone paddle, which that was like one of their big claims about that. But it's a technology that has existed in the pickleball space, definitely in other paddle sport spaces, but I think it's like potentially the future. It's more costly if I understand everything right, but this is going to be like the first of like a major brand adopting that kind of format. So I'm excited about that. And then the owner described the Black Opal as being non-linear with dwell. And that's how he described it. I haven't hit with it. I'm trying to get a review unit. Trying to get 2, but I don't know if it's going to happen, Wilson. I'm sorry. But and that's going to be the same as another one of their lines. And then for people that are really to the nerd stuff, they're utilizing actual diamond in its grit, and it's gonna be the pre-peg, if you know what all that is impregnated with the diamond particles. And the whole point is it makes the grit on your paddle, the thing that typically wears out fastest, lasts 4 times longer, and that's in a lab setting. He claims it lasts even longer in a real world setting. So that would be awesome. And then one other interesting thing was one of the layers of the build is a layer of gel, which was very interesting. And he described it as a floating core, which I guess makes sense if it's a monocoque design. And then I really like this little phrase that Dale said, which was he thinks the Opal is 3D while EPP paddles are 2D. And so he just really likes how they feel. And so, yeah, he's really promising a lot with this new paddle. And it's going to retail for $250 USD. I think that's before code. And he's claiming he thinks it's the most expensive paddle to make right now because it's utilizing materials that are sourced all over the world. I can't remember. I think he might have, he's mentioned some countries. And yeah, it sounded like quite an endeavor. And yeah, the paddle will have a 12-month warranty, so they are standing by what they've been working on. And so, yeah, I mean, does that excite you?
Yeah, and
I
the
guess you haven't.
price.
Have you played with mini 6.0 paddles? I should ask that first.
Yeah, I played with the original double black diamond.
Okay.
And it was great. It was a great. I guess back then it was the power paddle, right? Because now it's just basically an all court paddle.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm excited for this black opal. Considering what it is and what you've said, 250 for a high end paddle is pretty standard, and if it has a 12-month warranty, I'm excited
Yeah.
about that. Um,
And
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not $333. And so, yeah, and if that surface lasts like that claim, I could see that higher price point having some merit. But yeah, we really have to hit them, test them, and then we did get a few details on a couple other the Ruby Pro. This sort of surprised me. So this one will come later, but it's utilizing Kevlar, or aramid fiber and that diamond grit, and it's a honeycomb core paddle, but the cells are 12 millimeter.
Wow, like giant.
I've never seen that before. I'm very, very curious, unless I jotted the wrong number down, but I believe that's what he said. And then Dale, the owner of 6.0, who was literally playtesting some of the paddles the day he chatted with us, is describing the Ruby Pro as linear with a stiff feel. So that's different than the Black Opal, which he is saying is non-linear with dwell. Like it's almost the inverse. We could parse out dwell and stiff, but
It's
I think that might
interesting.
be the one. Yeah.
It's interesting that he describes a 12 millimeter cell honeycomb core as a stiff paddle.
Well, that to
We'll
be
see.
honest, that
We'll
has a
see.
lot to. Yeah, we'll see, but
Yeah,
that definitely has a lot to do with I think the layers of the
got
layout,
it.
which is debatable. Like, I mean, if you think about paddle techs, like they've got wide cells, but would you describe those as stiff?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I
Stiff.
think
Yeah, I could.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they've got a lot of pop. And I think John Q is the one that recently discovered with his GTOC breakdown, Paddletech was utilizing 2 layers of carbon fiber. And so I
Mm.
think this the cell size is definitely a factor, but I think layup is a big part of pop. But there isn't we're seeing a lot of new paddles with 5 layers and whatnot, which I haven't been loving. In all cases, but I think the layup is really crucial to that. And so I'm curious to see. And then the Ruby Pro is, I think I wrote down 225, and I think they have a target of like a late October release. But once again, I think these dates are all a little up in the air. And then the last one to highlight is this paddle called the Coral. And they, I think, are hoping for early November. And that one is an EPP floating core. So not unlike what we've seen with other companies, but it's going to have a tuned twist weight at 6.7. At least that's the goal, with a 114 swing weight. And so that's pretty, I think that's pretty nice. And then it's described as a tectonic floating core. They had names for everything. Like there's a sheet. They sent us a sheet. So I don't exactly know what the tectonic means off the top of my head, but Dale said this paddle kicks butt. And that is, I like that. I don't hear that much. I'm, grew up in the 90s. So like Cowabunga, Ninja Turtles, like if a paddle kicks butt, I'm there for it. So he did say it's not the same performance as the Black Opal. But I don't think I have a price for that one. But I guess it would make sense. You really want to launch this with your flagship, I'd say. And so I think that's what they're pushing for. And so that's the news. 6.0 is coming back. We're going to see. Do you think we'll see them everywhere? I mean, the DBD was everywhere. The Ruby was everywhere.
I still see them around at the local parks. They are still a very popular paddle company for a lot of people. And for most people, I think they are great. And I'm excited that they are venturing into more power, because that's what everybody wants. Give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. I just am curious, like, if everyone's going to have one. Because the Ruby, everyone had that one. The Double Black Diamond, when that one came out, like, there's still, like, a lot of the old Ben John Giolas, but it was that and the DBD. But the Ruby, I felt everyone at Open Play
But
had one.
right now,
Yeah.
no, that's true. But right now, there's just so much stiff competition with
That's what I'm
companies and
saying.
and
Yeah,
offerings. I mean, especially with the Vatic Pros and the Rhombuses now.
exactly.
I don't know. We will see if the 6.0 can top it and
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah.
It's definitely a different landscape. They've got some serious competition right now. And on that note, let's talk about some of the competition. What are we testing right now? This segment is presented by our friends over at SwiftNet. If you're looking for the best portable pickleball net on the market, one made out of aerospace freaking carbon fiber, this is your net. Check it out. Promo code Matthew K will save you a few bucks. And Wilson, I believe this video is going to go out when this is no longer embargoed. We have both been hitting with the Carbon TruFoam waves. So this is the follow-up to the Genesis paddles, which, don't forget everyone, I've got a giveaway for one of those on the channel. This is the waves. This is, I think it was kind of chatted about as being like the next level of power in the TruFoam series. And yeah, I think maybe there's been a little bit of a discussion if that's the correct way to position this paddle. But I have some of the info for this paddle that you don't know about right in front of me, because I also hopped on a Carbon Zoom the other week. And then at this point, if you're watching, these launched on September 25th. So I believe they're available right now. Promo code Matthew K or promo code Matthew K10 makes them $252 after that discount. So right up there with what that Black Opal is going to cost. So maybe that's the high-end price point we're going to see. But yeah, what'd you think of this paddle? I know before you got injured, you had a chance to hit around, yeah?
Oh yeah, yeah. For those people who don't follow my life, you know. They I kind of pulled my groin muscle or tendon or whatever. And I got it looked at and everything's good. I just need to give myself a little time off from pickleball
All
to
right,
let it
folks. All
rest.
right, folks. I was not involved in that injury at all. I was not present, to clarify.
Yeah, it was not Matt's fault. He didn't uh put water on the court and made me do the splits or anything, right? But yeah, I got to put in a good amount of time with the carbon TruFoam wave, and yeah, it's definitely more powerful than the TruFoam Genesis line. However, it's I don't think it's top tier power. It's a nice even when I'm playing with this, it's still a it's a control paddle. It's I guess it's
It's
power leaning
controllable.
control. It's controllable. And I've put in about 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours with this by with stock with no weights. But I'm gonna start adding some weight now. When I get back into playing to see if that really ups the power. I think it will, and I think this is it's a really solid paddle. It feels great. It, it still has the same amount of dwell time, and if you like the feel of the TrueFoam Genesis, but you wanted a little more power, this would definitely be it. I really do like the feel of the paddle. It feels really good. It does have a good, nice pocketing feel. When I'm playing. So yeah, what do you think about yours?
I I like it much more than the Genesis line. So I have been focusing on the elongated shape because there are a lot there's so many paddles coming out right now. I'm kind of comparing them sort of all similar shapes, and so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. But I've been really focusing on the elongated. I also think I might just need to embrace elongated. There's so many benefits to that. It's going to make our collaboration more difficult because I usually hand the elongated off to you. But I do
That
love having
that Rhombus Quantas R3 or R4, the elongated one really changed you after
it
playing with
changed
that.
me. It so that one is the one I started testing. But and so I mean, I think on Zane's pod, they were just he was talking to another player, and I know we've had this conversation. One of the benefits of an elongated is you have your main sweet spot, but then you have a soft sweet spot up here for other kinds of shots. And that's just something that you don't have with a hybrid. And having that more than anything is why I remember having that back when I played with elongated before I fell in love with the J2 shape. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm finding myself wanting that. And then the reach and that extra plow through is nice. But as far as the waves paddle, I think you think there's some more power. I think that's true. But the biggest thing that I think is the touch is more is it, the feel. I like this more. And I think there are a couple of things that are impacting this. So this one has 5 layers, just like the Genesis paddles. It's got 2 layers of carbon fiber with the middle layer of fiberglass with 2 layers of carbon fiber underneath it. But unlike the Genesis is just a patch of fiberglass. This, it's covering the whole thing. And I think that allows for more consistent feel for those of us that are hitting around their sweet spot sometimes. You probably have never experienced this, but us lowly players that switch paddles quite a bit are sometimes searching for that sweet spot. And so that I think is really the big improvement. But then the other characteristic, like instead of those holes in the foam that were then filled with epoxy or whatever, this has waves. I'm sure everyone's seen every diagram there is, and that could be contributing to this feel. But for me, this had more predictable power output. It was more controllable, which is what you said. More of a power leaning player, more of a control leaning player. I definitely felt that. I have not added weight. I had to do that with the Genesis version just to deal with the propulsiveness of it, which could have been affected by that inconsistent sweet spot or that inconsistent output. But I just very much like the feel of this line or this version of the line better than the previous. And there are some other technical things that they've done. But yeah, I mean, I just like it. I like the way it feels. And they described it when they're chatting about it. They're claiming the whole head is flexing compared to the flex. No, what they're saying is they're saying what they think is happening, and I don't know how you could prove or disprove this, but instead of the whole head flexing like other trampoline foam paddles, they think the flex is focused in on a spot. I think that might be coming from a driving player's vantage point, but regardless of what is happening, I think the feel is more consistent, and I like it. It's more pleasant for me. And then I did want to highlight a program that they highlighted regarding, I don't know if it's all of their paddles or just the waves, but they're going to be donating a pickleball paddle to school kids, I believe, with each purchase. They're designing their own wood paddle because they, or it's going to be this kind of wood paddle because they think it's the most durable for kids on playgrounds and stuff. I'm trying to get one. I want to see what Carbon's wood paddle is all about. But I think that's cool. I think these companies that have these higher price tags need to figure out. I think they've got to be creative, and I think it's smart to, like, if we're gonna have these high price tag paddles, you're gonna have to like keep the sport growing, and I think getting paddles into the hands of kids, no matter what they are, is great. And so, yeah. And then oh, go ahead.
Do you think that before you move on to the next topic, um, for people with the TruFoam Genesis, do you think this is a paddle that they should just drop the Genesis and grab it right away, or it's okay and you can play with the Genesis until it's time for a new paddle before upgrading? Is it something that they need to drop everything and go get it? Is it a big enough upgrade, basically? Or it's
I
just like
think,
one of those.
yeah, I think folks that, I mean, it's going to be hard if you own a Genesis to justify another paddle purchase at this price if you're liking the Genesis. If it's busted, I would just say forget about the Genesis, go to the waves. I think the folks that like the Genesis will like the waves. But I have a little bit of a different outlook, I think, on who the Genesis would be good for. Probably different than what even Carbon would say. And I think folks that want a bit more propulsiveness on their shorter hits in particular should look at the Genesis. I think the fact that fiberglass is a patch rather than the whole thing creates a more propulsive output. But I think that's a really specific player. It kind of goes back to like ages and ages ago, I had reviewed Hudef Viva Pro Gen 2, or Hudef Viva Pro Gen 2, which also had a fiberglass patch.
Yeah.
And I had the same commentary on that. And so I personally prefer the output of power to be similar here S to here, S to here. But if you're someone that likes super propulsive, like I think that one patch, you know, of the Genesis pushes in more and then pushes out, pushes in and throws out. But this one, the fiberglass is the whole thing. And obviously, just like we see with the NF paddles from Honolulu, they're just more tendrils, more pieces, and it makes that compress more evenly and spreads that out. And so it pushes out less, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And once again, like this is kind of only for folks that are looking at it from soft hits. I don't know if you would notice these differences if you're looking at these paddles from if you're basing it off of drives.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, these are my favorite carbon paddles, if that helps. The waves. Yeah. But you are right. We are going to move on because there are a lot of freaking paddles coming out right now. And so I was telling you, I just been play testing, and yeah, I'm still hitting with the elongated Ronbus Quanta. This is that EPP design with the EVA ring. I am not sure if it's classified as a floating or a diving board design because it has these TPE elastomer inserts, which I said wrong on a pod, and someone definitely pointed that out. I had a typo. I said elastometer, and then this guy roasted me. But it has these things down here, which I do think act kind of like what I was talking about with the NF paddles, this locking mechanism. And I just love the feel of this paddle stock. I'm going to be in the minority with that opinion. I'm a soft hitter. This is so freaking lightweight. You can whip, you can freaking do anything you want with this. And since I have been hitting a lot of similar shapes, I'm not having as much issues with, I'm not like switching. I have been switching elongated to elongated up until today for the most part. And so I'm able to have some better hand-eye coordination. And I know you think this paddle needs weight. I think you've talked about that. But yeah. I think for my style, where I only want occasional boosts of power on my drives, my serves, and my putaways, I freaking love this paddle. I don't know. You wanna remind folks what you think as someone that plays a lot of elongated paddles and probably has more of a driving game than I do.
Yeah, so I was testing it without any weights. I was testing it stock, and it was actually really good. It was great out of the box. However, because it was so light and whippy, I think I don't know the exact swing weight, but it's very low. I think it's this elongated paddle is equivalent. The swing weight is like equal to like a lot of the hybrid paddles, which is pretty impressive. And you can whip that around like no tomorrow. But yeah, it's great out of the box. But I think adding some weight would really stabilize it, like because it's just weight and having more mass in general. So I guess maybe one of these days when you're done with that, I'll throw on some weights to the side and see how that feels. But yeah,
Guys, isn't that
there's a lot of
hilarious?
room.
Isn't that hilarious? Hilarious that Wilson thinks he's getting this back. He thinks he's gonna see this paddle again.
To
This
test
one
it.
To test it. Oh, Wilson, you're so delusional right now. Like I'm keeping this paddle. All right, I did pull it up. It's got a 112 target swing weight with a target 5.64. This is the 3, right? Yeah. 5.64 twist weight.
I mean, the twist weight is a little low because, of course, it's so light. But that swing weight, I mean, there's some elongated paddles in the 120s, aren't there? I'm sure there is. Yeah,
Yeah,
so really low.
not ones I would want, but
Yeah.
yeah, this is very low swing weight, and I think I'm hearing lots of folks talk about like you really got to customize this paddle to make it a premier paddle, like there are some other options that I think this, especially in the elongated form, is for a certain kind of player. It's someone that wants a crazy powerful elongated that's freaking fast in the hands. Like that is a unique combo. I think weighting this up, sure, you could do it, but that's like making it a different paddle. Like I'm sure you like, yeah. I mean, why why do that when we're gonna talk about another paddle that does that? I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, $99 promo code Matthew K. Like I think this is a crazy cool paddle, like a very unique elongated paddle out of the box. But yes, you could definitely weight it up and make it even more powerful. But why do that when you've got, you won't believe this. All right. This guy.
Ooh, Vsol.
Vsol. And I should highlight on the this one. So this on the Ronbus, I've been trying out Ant Pickleball's Overgrips. Really like these, tack and cushion. You had this one on there, and it's doesn't look bad at all. Like this has been through many hands. And then this paddle has the Exo Grip, which is, I don't think many people know this one. They're actually coming out with a paddle, or do have a paddle, but I think they used to be just accessories, but they have different lines, and I like them. They're not super tacky, but this one that I'm trying out has a really good feel. The durability is there. They got a lot of cool colors. But this is the upcoming it's coming out September 26th, so very soon. But this is the Vsol Pro, so the blue one. And so this is a foam core, a floating foam core with a foam ring, and its design configuration is very much like the Boomstick and the Loco. This is also $99 after promo code Matthew K. And yeah, why weight up the Ronbus Quanta when you've got this and then another one? So Vatic is doing two lines at once. This is the VSolPower, and this is the one that is the updated version of the V cores that you had been testing out. And so the change with the V core, and for this one I was doing Bodhi Overgrips, which we love. Bodhi, they're very good. So I was testing out these with all the other elongated, and so the VSolPower is that updated V core. And so the changes that they made were supposed to expand the sweet spot, which you hit with the V core more. So we'll have to have you test that out to talk about it. For me, I didn't notice the sweet spot being super narrow at all. But I don't really pick up on that. I guess I just hit too well. Like I just don't notice. Or maybe I'm so used to mishitting. And then what they did was some durability upgrades regarding the glue, because that was the issue that the V cores had. And so I've hit with both of these.
Do you notice any major differences?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Definitely, yeah. I didn't write it down, so I'm trying to remember. Initially, I very much thought I liked this more. This felt the power, yeah. This one felt more familiar out of the box. And then maybe like the fact that I knew the design impacted that, but I really like this. I'd say they all have like comparable like power probably, but the feel does vary between the lines. And so this one I feel is like, they're both very, very fun. I have a lot of testing left to do with both of these, so I don't want to say too much. These are just like first impressions, but this one felt familiar but amped up power. And so this is the one that is the updated foam core paddle. Now this one is the one that's a foam core with the foam ring. And that was something that have done, I've not loved with the Honolulu FC Plus. And as I've like just talked about regarding the layups, like I don't love like propulsiveness that's unpredictable. However, I was really enjoying this one, so I was surprised. And then this comes in a moment. We'll be talking about this some more, but I'm starting to think, Wilson, I might have had an outlier unit of the J2FC Plus. And because I very much liked the feel of this. These are very different feels. I don't want to label one linear or not, but this one is more familiar. This one definitely has more dwell, but like I was not playing the highest level games, so I didn't get to do a lot of dinking, a lot of complex dinking, so I really didn't experience too much punishment with pop-ups. Like I didn't do a lot of going under the ball when I was testing these out, and that's really my big test. But I like the feel of this, and it reminded me of the FC Plus, but with a more pleasant feel. And that theme is going to come back in a moment. And so those are my quick first impressions. These are the ones I want you to hit ASAP. But take your time, get healed up. But I got other news. And so those $99, like those are more traditional power paddles than the Ronbus Quanta elongated. And so I think if you're thinking about weighting up the Ronbus Quanta elongated, go look at one of the Vatics and then decide if you want one that has noticeable dwell. If you want the one with noticeable dwell, look at the Pro. And then if you want one that is just a juiced up paddle, look at the Power. Oh, and that's pretty good. Hey, that's interesting. I was wondering why the names were that way. But yeah, if you're just wanting power, get the Power. If you're wanting something that has like more finesse and dynamicism, get the Pro. that kind of makes sense. But yeah, more testing to do on those. But it's interesting because I got him.
Ooh, J6s.
The J6's FC Plus version. And so I really wasn't too excited about this paddle because the J2FC Plus, my commentary on that paddle has gotten me in the hot water with everybody in the whole freaking pickleball universe. And dude, my first impression, once again, just like I was describing with the Vatic, I was enjoying this. I was enjoying that dwelly feeling, and I wasn't like getting frustrated. And so I think maybe, yeah, I'm trying to get a production version of the J2FC Plus to really do that again, because in my big overview video of the new NF paddles, I found all of the latest NF paddles to have even better touch and feel than my initial review units from the first J2 versions. And so maybe that was just more pronounced. Maybe I felt that, noticed that more with the FC Plus when I was testing those. But if Honolulu, like whatever improvements they did to the new shapes of the NF and probably the later batches of the J2NF, whatever they learned, they put into these, because I really like the ball feel on them, and I was enjoying that dwell. And so that was super interesting. I was surprised by that. And then this, like here, like, so Honolulu hasn't done a traditional elongated ever. The closest we've gotten is the J7, which is a skinny-fied, like more aerodynamic elongated, which I think is actually more of like a control paddle that has reach. but we haven't really seen them do a power elongated recently, and you'd have to dig deep into the Honolulu archives. This is the J1H, not the J1, not to be confused with the J1. This was Honolulu's J1H, which included fiberglass in its layup and was kind of a secret power paddle in their line that no one really talked about, because I think the J1 and the other one with the throat hole kind of like turned people off. But this one, like, I want to hit with it again and see if I remember it right, but this had some pop. And the whole point Honolulu did with this was, if I remember right, they're trying to recreate the kind of dwell through this flex that you get with a tennis racket. And that design definitely has been given up because this was very expensive to do. We saw that with Vatic have issues. I don't think we're seeing throat holes come back to carbon fiber paddles. And it's also kind of a moot point because the foam paddles create that dwell. And in particular, this one. So I think this is like the spiritual successor to that. And so, yeah, once again, firm ball feel is the J6NF. A little bit more of a dynamic feel with a little power boost FC Plus. And I think my thoughts on this line up with how people were describing the J2FC Plus. And so I think I'm trying to get another one and see if I had an unusual one. And so, yeah, those are my big paddle testing updates. And that is kind of bringing us to the end. I did want to point out real quick, I'm also checking out a new brand called Warping Point, and I'm probably going to be doing a review on this paddle. This is the Aether, Aether, and this is a Gen 2 build, but with 10 millimeter cells. Oh my gosh, the 10 millimeter cells just took my voice away. This is what happens, guys, when Wilson is out. I know you're all like, let Wilson talk. Guys, he's been injured. He hasn't gotten to hit anything. So I really had to figure this out. But the Warping Point, the Aether, it's a Gen 2 build, 10 millimeter cells. I was having a lot of fun with this, switching from all those power paddles. Like, I was able to get really nice control, do whatever I wanted. Kevlar 3K weave surface. And this is crazy. It's USAP approved, but after promo code Matthew K, that knocks off like 25%. And this is only $75. And so this is just a great...
the neon too.
They have some other paddles. This I haven't hit with that one. That one is a little more swingy, I believe. This one I think is well balanced. You can do a lot of flicking with it. This is that classic
hybrid
flared shape. Yeah, with the rise on the flare. Yeah. I really like that. Feels very good in the hands. And then it's interesting because they have a very similar paddle from them as well. But this is from their Rhythm line. But right now, these are only UPA approved. And this one doesn't have the Kevlar. But it's made differently. And so I need to hit with this more. But it's not using like the same hot press construction that this one is using. However, it is heat sealed. And I do think there has been a little bit of miscommunication from paddle companies with reviewers about which paddles are thermoformed and whatnot. And we can talk about that on another podcast, but I appreciate that they really outlined these are cold press, but with a heat seal. But they're only UPA approved right now. However, after promo code Matthew K, this one's only $60. And so a little made differently, different surface. I did do a few hits and I thought they were pretty similar, but I need to hit with this one more in particular. And what is cool about this one is it does come in two other shapes. Your little elongated that you like, and then a traditional standard. So
Those are
So
UPA approved? UPAA approved?
cor- correct. So this series
Ah,
is called the Rhythm Line. These are UPA approved. This is the Aether, and so this is just a standalone, and it is USAP approved. Um, and I believe, well, I don't have it in my notes, but I'm pretty certain this is 10 millimeter cells. But now I need to go check that. But I believe that's the case because that's why I was comparing them. And then I got one more thing I gotta chat about, and then I'm gonna let you get to the tip of the week. I coughed into the mic. Everyone's ears are bleeding now because I had to clear my throat because Wilson's been injured, and I had to do all the paddle testing. Oh my gosh, the Matthew K Pickleball podcast, like Matthew K Pickleball having to do the work. No, I'm just kidding. But I got some big news. Are you ready for this?
yes.
Why are you even taking a drink of water? I've been doing all the talking. You can't be thirsty.
I was
All
walking all
right.
day at the zoo.
Oh, you're tired from the zoo. All right. Well, I've been working on getting this paddle, and it has been a chore. This, okay. This is a paddle company called Spinwave Pickleball, but that's what's inside. And I'm gonna tell you more about Spinwave in a second. But first off, look at that paddle cover. Is that not cool?
That's awesome.
I finally got it.
Oh,
So we've talked about Sypik before. We've talked about the Triton Pro 3. That's a Gen 3 build. This is
the
the
avatar.
Avatar Pro. So this is Gen 4 foam paddle that Huang Yun or QD uses. And I've talked about for the Triton how you can like DM the US Sypik Instagram account. I linked them in that video to get a discount if you say Matthew K Pickleball sent you. But with this one here, the Avatar, it's even easier because Spinwave Pickleball hooked us up because I'm trying to get this test unit. Hooked us up. This is a company based in New York and Long Island with physical stores, but they do worldwide shipping. And I am set up with them, Spinwave Pickleball, 10% off with promo code MatthewK. And that's going to be nice because the sticker price on these babies are $280. And if you guys don't know about Sypik, they're a Vietnamese pickleball company, really raging onto the scene. They've got who we were just talking about, QD, who, funny enough, QD was over there hanging out at Warping Point. Did you see that on Instagram?
Yeah, I did. That was interesting.
So so this brand has a big China footprint. Although the origins of the company is a little complex, and I'll talk about it another time. But QD was hanging out with these guys, but his paddle is this one, and so this is a huge paddle company, Sypik over in Vietnam, but they don't really have a good distribution network out here in the States. So even the reviewers are struggling to get these paddles, but everyone wants to know about them because of QD. And so I'm like very excited. Spinwave is a real pickleball shop because they're not even carried by all the companies, like all the big online pickleball retailers. But Spinwave's got them, 10% off that 280 sticker price. But there's more. There's more, Wilson. Spinwave is doing something interesting, something unique. This company, when you order a paddle from them, you can actually request them to put an overgrip on it, for them to do edge tape, for them to install that pesky Hesicore or your terribly difficult to put on slice speed cap, and they'll even do engraving so people know when they steal your paddle over at Open Play. So that's pretty nice. Like they're add-ons, of course, but to like get your paddle mailed to you and have it ready to go to the courts is really cool. And so I'm finally gonna hit with this thing. I'm gonna let you hit with it, Wilson, because I know you're a QD wannabe. So no, I'm just teasing. But doesn't that look cool though?
It looks awesome. I love the gradient.
Yeah,
I love all gradients. I don't know.
you
I don't
do.
care for the solid edge guards.
Yeah, I hear that. But all right, Spinwave, thanks for making this happen. Check them out, guys. They got a lot. They got a lot of brands, but if you're looking for a Sypik in particular, they would be a great option. And now, Mr. Wilson, I'm done. I'm over. It's game over for Matthew K. Pickleball, but it's not game over for co-host Wilson. We need our tip of the week. I need to get better at pickleball. Wilson, you need to make it happen. This segment is presented by our friends over at Bodhi Pickleball. If you're looking for overgrips, if you're looking for tungsten, if you're looking for freaking rags to mop your floor in the bathroom, they've got you covered. All right, Wilson, what's the tip?
All right. Yeah, the tip of the week this week. It's a little simple, but sometimes people don't really notice what they're doing when they're doing this. So my tip of the week is pay attention to your non-dominant hand while you're playing, especially when you're at the kitchen, when you're dinking or when you're reaching into the kitchen, right? Um, a lot of people will kind of just have their non-dominant hand, for example, for me, my left hand. To their side. Um, and it doesn't really help with your balance. What you can do is use your, not my tip of the week is to use your non-dominant hand as a counterbalance, as to like when you're reaching into the kitchen, have your non-dominant hand behind you. When you are dinking, and let's say you're doing a backhand dink, keep your hand out to the side of you for balance. It's interesting how some people, it works for some people, and I think it works as well if you practice it, like Matt. He likes to keep his hand on his hip. His non-dominant hand. If you look at videos, you'll see when he's dinking, he'll have his left hand on his hip, which is great. It's fine as long as you use it for balance. There are a lot of people though, especially beginners, they don't know what to do with the non-dominant hand, and when they're reaching into the kitchen, sometimes they'll fall into the kitchen because you don't have a counterbalance. You don't have a counterweight behind you, beside you, to keep you from falling into the kitchen. More advanced players, you'll see them even kick their feet. When they're going for a speed up or when they're trying to catch the ball out of the air above the kitchen, you'll see them kick one of their legs out behind them just so that they can lean in some more. So that if your leg is behind you, you can lean in more without falling into the kitchen. Yeah, so my tip of the week is easy. Use your non-dominant hand to keep yourself out of the kitchen. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. All right, folks. Be like Matthew K. Pickleball. Get that hand on the hip. It sounds like. But no, I definitely have some. I do some balancing stuff intuitively. Like I do.
Yeah.
I did the flamingo put away with the one leg before that was
Yeah.
a thing on
It helps
Instagram.
a
But
lot,
I
right?
just
Because if you didn't do that and you have both feet parallel to the net, you're gonna fall in if you're gonna go lean forward, right? There's nothing to keep you
yeah, no.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I should have been a ballerina, but all right, all right. Well, that brings us to the end, folks. You got to the end. We got to the end. Wilson's going to talk more on the next pod once he's healed up. Thank you for bearing with me. I know you don't all love me droning on and on. If you made it to if you made it to this point, thank you. And then Chris Olson gave me advice on how to deal with trolls, so I'm ready for you guys. No, please don't troll. But what you can do is subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a nice comment down below, and be sure to check out the Carbon Genesis TruFoam 4 review video. We're doing a giveaway over there. Check out the Thrive Fury review. There's a giveaway for one of those paddles, which I really, really like. If you're looking for a Hybrid Pro 4, that is the one to look at. And there are a lot of other things about that paddle that are super interesting. So check out that review. And then Flickweight is giving away some of their end cap handle weight plus that secret product, so definitely check that out. And then keep your eyes peeled for that giveaway with my next NF Honolulu paddle video. And that's about it. Just be sure to subscribe, like the video, but most importantly, I hope you get to pickle soon. Wilson, do you hope these folks get to pickle soon?
I hope everyone gets pickled soon, especially me.
I hope you get to pickle soon as well, Wilson. Everyone else hopes you get to pickle soon. But all of us, let's just not forget, it's about having fun.